Hello, my name is Byron Gladden, and I represent the Guilford County School Board here for this district. And to center us about this district, the average life expectancy of a child living in 27405 is less than a child living in Guatemala, which is a third world country. And so looking at the attacks on public education, the inconsistencies with funding, the rise of charter schools, the fact that public education has become very criminalized with the number of police that are in schools and in hallways and that school to prison pipeline. What are some policies that you are recommending concerning education? How can the federal and the state as well as local come together? Because in North Carolina, our money, our county commissioners fund over 35% of our budget, and we really don't have a way to appeal. We really don't have a way to tax. We really don't have a way to fight. And we're looking at a graduation rate of the highest in the state of North Carolina. But our African American black males and females are graduating with a 2.5 GPA or below, which is equivalent to an 8th grade reading and math level. And so where are they graduating to? And then that further, impacts our economy, impacts local, and the fact that we're in a food desert. You cannot walk to find an employee that has 50 more employees in this area, as well as there's no place to go get fresh fruit and vegetables.
Thank you for the work you're doing. We recently, a few months ago, announced in South Carolina, actually, an education reform program, which is called the Thurgood Marshall Plan, by the way. And it has a number of goals attached to it. Number one, it triples funding for Title I schools. Triples funding for poor schools all over this country. Because we understand that it is an outrage for schools, the future of our country, the kids, our future of our country, not to get the education they need, not to be able to go on to college because they don't have the skills to do that, or go out and get the good jobs that are out there. All right, number two, we significantly increased funding for kids with disabilities, because that is an increasing problem.
Yes.
Number three, we have the goal of, in a short period of time, raising teachers' salaries in this country to at least $60,000 a year. All right? What we are seeing, and I'm less familiar with North Carolina than I am with South Carolina, but you're seeing good teachers, experienced teachers, leaving schools, especially minority schools. All right? They're leaving schools. They have to work 2 or 3 jobs to make a living. They're taking money out of their own pockets in order to buy school supplies. And the young and the brightest kids are not going into education. All right, so we intend to change that by changing the value systems in this country. It's not about giving, I know Mike wants to get that tax break when he's a billionaire, but he ain't gonna get it. He ain't gonna get it. It is about making sure that we respect education and educators. Your whole point is education is the future. If that's the case, you tell the young people that education, Cornel West is a beautiful example about this. He can talk about it better than I can. That we want you to be teachers because you're doing some of the most important work in America. You'll be respected. You'll be adequately paid. Okay? So we are going to in terms of charter schools, no. I grew up, went to a public school in my life. That's where I got my education. I came from a working class family. Our program eliminates private charter schools and puts a moratorium on public charter schools. We want money to be going into public education, not charter schools.
Woo! Thank you. I have one question.
Okay.
I've been a black business owner in the black community for a long time. And I hear candidates all the time say, we're going to make sure that we get money to the black community and the black businesses in the black community. But I have rarely seen a strategic plan to funnel money into black small businesses in the black community. Do you have a plan?
Well, I am latching on to a plan by Jim Clyburn of South Carolina. And he calls the 10-20-30 plan, which means that a very substantial amount of federal funding goes to distressed communities all over this country, which unfortunately too often are African American communities. So to answer your question, there will be targeted, we're talking about tens and tens of billions of dollars going into African American communities.
Okay, now will it be allocated and designated to black men and women only? Or will the minority tag allow white women to come in and get some of that money?
This is for the African American community.
Thank you all. Once again, we'd like to thank Senator Sanders for being here.
Picture of Dr.
A lot of
West.
men and women I respect at this table. I want to give my photos in. I know you all want to get your photos.